Hey y'all, Coach in the Fight here. Just want to tell you guys about a dream that I had the other day. Normally, I don't tell the dreams that I've been having recently because they mostly seem personal. But this one, it doesn't really seem personal at all. It seems to be more about you guys than it is to be about me. Um, so I want to go ahead and share this with you. But the way we do it around here, you'll see in the video. We're not really going to give an interpretation of the dream. If you will, if you believe you understand what it means, please jump down in the comment section and let us know what you think it means. What we're going to do is just tell the dream and then let my wife and kids ask questions to help clarify what it is. All right, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Tell. Dream time.
Dream time.
All right, so we're recording this dream I had the other day. So for you guys listening to Coach in the Fight Dream Time, the way this works is I'll tell the dream, and then everybody around the table had an opportunity to ask questions to bring out additional details about the dreams. We don't usually interpret dreams over here. We don't usually interpret our own dreams unless, of course, we think they've come to pass. But I'm gonna talk about my dream now. I ain't never had a rapture dream before, so this is like the closest thing I've ever had to a rapture dream. But it's actually about the church. All right, so when it starts out, it's like we're all there. All of us are there in this small church environment. There's like maybe two pews in this, from my perspective, in the direction that I'm looking. There's like two pews. I feel like we have just sung a song. I don't remember the song or anything, but I'm actually sitting on the steps that's leading to the stage. So you can imagine this small room with a pretty big stage and two pews in it. The stage is about as big as the area where the two pews are. The two pews are completely packed. Now, I feel like we're in a church of like it's my home church, like it's all people in this church, as well as some visitors. There's visitors there, but I feel like this is our church, my church. This is the church I go to all the time. So we're, like I said, I feel like we've just sung a song, and I think your mom is sitting on the steps. Like a stage has three steps that go to it. It's like we're sitting on the steps to the stage. Somebody in the audience speaks up. You know, it's a very informal environment. You know how small churches are. It's a very informal environment. And one lady, she speaks up and says something like, I love this, I love how everybody in this church is participating. It's like everybody in here is a singer or this or that. Everybody has some involvement in this church. I really like how this, everybody is involved. It was like she was like saying that like 75% of the people in here are participating in this church service. Like I said, me and your mom or we're sitting on the steps leading to the stage. Then after she says this, some other visitors come up to get ready to sing, but they don't come to the stage. The stage is kind of off to my, from my perspective, is off to my left. I'm sitting on the steps to the stage to my left, and the people, as I'm facing the people on the pew, are sitting straight in front of me. But these girls, about three girls, they get up to sing their song. They're African American girls. The lady was an African American too. Pretty much everybody in this group right now is African American. And so you got these three girls that stand up and they come up to sing their song, but they go to the left of the pews or they go to the other side of the stage. They don't come to the stage. They go over there where there's a microphone and stuff over there and they get ready to sing their song. Now, while they're singing their song, I start to feel a little bit out of place. I am sitting on the steps of the stage. And I'm like, I shouldn't be here. So I gets up and I goes to another place. I don't see none of you guys no more in this stream. I gets up and I go to another place. And so where it was that I was looking into the face of everybody that was sitting in the pew on the steps of the stage, I get up and go in a direction which would be behind me, all the way to the other end of this room, which is now somehow bigger. It's now bigger. And maybe it was just my perspective and I couldn't see what was behind me before, but now I've turned around and I've walked to the other side of the room, and I in fact walked all the way to the wall on the other side of the room. I walked all the way as far, almost, straight line, as far away from the activity that was now going on in this church. So you have these people up here that's singing. After the girls sing, some other people do some stuff, and some other people do some stuff, and I'm up there kind of just watching the show. And it is at this time, that I realized that I'm not really dressed for this. I have on, just an old raggedy shirt, some old field clothes, I need a haircut or whatever. I ain't really dressed for this, what has now turned into a big church with a whole bunch of people in it, and a whole bunch of singing and stuff goes on. But anyway, I'm sitting all the way up against the wall in a folding chair beside a guy named Steve. Now, this guy named Steve, in real life, this is a guy that I went to high school with. We actually grew up about 2 or 3 miles from each other. So, we, was around each other almost all of our life. And we actually graduated from high school together. We was in the same class together. We played on this basketball team for the short time that I played on the basketball team. I knew this guy all of my life. But it wasn't until I was 40 years old that I realized that he was my first cousin. This is real life, because of my granddaddy was a Rolling Stone, if you know what I mean. Steve's mom and my mom were actually half sisters. But like I said, it wasn't until I was 40 years old that I realized that this guy named Steve, that I had been up there, that I grew up, was actually my first cousin because of that. But anyway, so there we was sitting up in the front of this room, sitting on some metal folding chairs with all of this stuff going on. Then, all of a sudden, I am now once again sitting at the foot of the stage. Because whereas I was now up against the wall and the stage was over there, at the beginning it was a big stage because the room was small. Now it's a tiny little stage over in the corner with these other little pews because the whole room is big now. But now the whole big stage is right here, and it's like the kind of stage you would remember from your high school gymnasium where you had the basketball court and then the stage behind it. It's that kind of stage. So I'm sitting at the base of the stage. Y'all remember that? Mm-hmm. And so I'm sitting there now, and now there's activity going on up here on this stage that's now, off to my left and, up there on this thing. So once again, I started to feel out of place. I'm like, I shouldn't be here. There's a bunch of pews in front of me now. There's a bunch of people in front of me now. I'm still facing the people in the pews. I'm still, like the dream started, I'm at the bottom of the stage. But now, whereas the stage was, I was sitting on the steps and the stage was to my left. Now I'm sitting below the stage and the stage is to my right. And I'm kind of looking back over as people are starting to do stuff on this stage. So I feel out of place again, and I feel like I need to move. So I do. I don't really remember walking up there. All I remember is that, I left that little stage and now I'm sitting here in this metal chair. And this time that I know that I need to move, I don't see myself walking, but now I have once again somehow gone as far away from the stage as I could possibly be. Just like I did before. I've now, where I was sitting, of course now I'm in the, by the big stage, I have now walked back to the back of the room, all the way over to the corner. As far away as I could possibly, I'm sitting in the corner of the room, but it's like a gymnasium where there are bleachers in this place, right? So, and there's like bleachers on both sides, like a big school gymnasium where you got, bleachers going up both sides, the big court area in the middle and the stage and all of this stuff. I am high as I could get in the bleachers, way over in the corner, as far as I could possibly be. And it's me and Steve and Steve's older brother, Tim. So, and I'm up here and I'm watching this show. And this church has once again become a lot bigger. This church is growing, and now it's staying packed. It's completely packed, but now it's huge as a school gym. It's huge. At first, when the dream first started, everything could have fit in this room right here. Now, this same church environment is the size of a school gym, and so there I am up there, way up in the corner, and I'm watching this show. And I mean, it is a highly elaborate show. It's like something made for television, where you have all of these singers coming and going and doing this and doing that. There's people just all around. There's one case is like this highly choreographed group. Well, all of it's choreographed. Everything is well put together. But you have this old Caucasian lady and this old Caucasian man who are across the bleachers. Like, I'm on this side of the bleachers. They're across the whole thing. They're on that side of the bleachers, way over yonder. They walk down the bleachers to a microphone where they start to do their act, their show. They're singing, old Caucasian couple. They're singing, they're going on, but it's so choreographed that there's other people who are strategically placed in the audience that's part of their group. And they started to come up and start to take part in this thing. At one point, there's like 6 dudes in pink suits that come up, and they're all into huge, this huge routine that's going on. In the meantime, I'm up here in the corner, falling asleep. I'm dozing off. I'm having a hard time staying awake. I really want to stay awake because it's really, really interesting. But I'm having a hard time staying awake. I'm sitting up there nodding and catching myself and nodding and catching myself. And now, this Caucasian couple, after they finish their act, there's not an MC or anybody directing. It's like everybody just knows what to do. It's like this thing has been planned out, big time. And so after they finish their act, then you have some African American children who are now on the stage up there where, on that side of the room, and they're doing their whole big act. And this is big elaborate thing that's going on. Everybody's involved. And Tim, I don't know if he is seeing me trying to stay awake and has decided to help me out, but he looks at me and he says, how are you liking this? And even though I'm nodding off and trying to stay awake, my response is, this is great. This church ain't never been like this. This is the most elaborate. This is the biggest thing that's ever happened in this church ever. I'm like, this is elaborate. This is, everybody's, talking, how good and everything's choreographed and everything's going on. And then that's when I wake up. End of the dream.
What do you think that has to do with the rapture?
Yeah, because I mentioned that at the beginning. I don't think it has anything. I just mentioned that because I don't really have rapture dreams. I've never had a rapture dream where I saw somebody leaving or I was leaving or anything like that.
Is this elaborate performance that's happening? Is it like centered around church or spiritual things or I don't want to say Christian, but it's like at
church.
Like at a Christian church where they're doing gospel, or is it secular?
No, it's definitely a spiritual environment. It's not secular at all. Everything, it's a church. It's definitely a church environment. It's definitely, they're singing about the Father. They're singing about, yeah.
Is that the first time somebody spoke to you was when Tam said that?
I kind of felt like the first lady when she was talking about, how everybody was involved. I kind of thought I was maybe audience to her conversation. Like she was, because I felt like it was my church and what she was saying, that would have been something I would have said, yeah, thank you, or something like that. So she could have been talking to me too. And then when I was up there with Steve, we may have had a conversation, but I don't remember it. I don't remember him saying anything or me saying anything to him. So, yeah, as far as a one-on-one conversation, yeah, Tim was the first person that actually said something to me. The other lady, she would have been talking to all of us.
Is your clothing other than the one time where you felt out of place? Did your clothing ever change? You
No,
remember?
I always felt out of place the whole time. I always, even when I was up there in the corner, I felt like, I still had on yesterday's clothes or something like that.
Did it feel like you was trying to distance yourself from this place?
No, I wasn't trying to distance myself from it. It was more like,
Because you kept going backwards each time,
it's like I
moving
had
farther
done. It's
away.
like I had done what I came to do. It's like we had already sung our song. I'd already sung my song, and now I didn't have a role anymore. My part was over. So now I'm just watching the show, trying to stay out of the way.
But were you bored with the show?
Absolutely not. It's the best show I've ever seen in my life in a church environment. But yeah, it was great.
And you said you didn't see us anymore.
Nope, nope. Know where y'all would have went. When it first started off, I think you were sitting beside me at the foot of the stage, but I think Will and Clifford and the rest of you guys were kind of over there where the pews were at, across the stage over in that area. We wasn't really all sitting together, but I think Stacy was sitting on the steps with me.
So in the first part of the thing, and I'm gonna let somebody else ask questions. Y'all get your questions together. Um, we all of us were together and we sung a song.
Yeah, I don't remember the singing this song. It's like when the dream started, we had just finished the song and it just sat down or something like that. I felt like we had just yeah. I would think that we had just finished our song because, like I said, that lady who was telling us what a great job she was doing was actually talking about us and how because it was our church, it was a very small church. She was part of the visiting crowd, but with her visitors, it may have been 15 of them, and then the six of us. There may have been 30 people total at first.
So do it seem? No, I said I was gonna let somebody.
No, keep
Do
going.
it seem like we were just members or visitors, or we owned, or we were? It was your church. It was you was just a. I mean, were you a visitor there? What was your association with this church?
It felt like my home church. And when I first woke up from the dream, I felt like it was the local church up the street, and we were members, of the church. It was our church. I wasn't the owner of the church or the preacher of the church, but it was our church. We were members of the church. But then there's nothing similar to the church up the street. I don't remember any other the same people up there besides you guys, and the layout of the church wasn't the same. Wasn't nothing the same as the church up the street.
Anybody else have a question?
But if somebody had said, yeah, this is my church, but I definitely wasn't the owner of it.
Did you notice it was getting bigger?
I didn't notice it was getting bigger until I was sitting way up in the corner. I don't think I noticed, looking back at the dream, I definitely can see that it was bigger from when it started and the little stage and the few little pews to when I moved back, because it was a big room with a whole bunch of pews. But it wasn't until I moved the other time and went up the bleachers way up in the corner was I realized this place is big. This is huge. This is a big, big place.
Was it at the end where there's a lot of people and it was big? Was it still African American people?
No, it was all kinds of people then. It kind of started off, all I remember at first was African American people. But like I said, one of the main events of the show, I would say I saw 3 acts total. I can remember seeing 3 acts total. And the one in the middle was all white people. Old white people, 60, 70 years old. But, it may have been 15 of them total in their little skit. Like I said, they was well put together. How they had people coming up from different parts of the room. You would have never noticed these 6, 7 people in pink suits scattered all over the room until they all stood up at the same time and walked up and took part in the singing.
So does it seem like, from your perspective, does it seem like you were just a watcher, an observer?
No, no. Mm-mm. I no. I was more of a watcher. I was participating in it. I was part of the show, but I had already done my act. I was finished. I ain't had
So
nothing else to
after
do.
that, you're basically just a watcher,
Yeah, just observer.
observer. Yeah.
Yeah, but thinking back on it, when everybody came and bowed, and everybody came to the stage, I would have been up there with the guys. I would have been up there in the stage.
Yeah.
Somebody might not have remembered, my act because it was way at the beginning. But yeah, I was part of the show. Very small part because, like I said, it was only 30 people there at first. At the end, it may have been 1,000 people in this room.
Chris, Journey. Seems like, well, not, I'm not no interpreter or anything, but it seems like, it's like you've done a part, like you played a part in something, and now you get to sit back and watch and observe the part that you played, where where it started out small. It can now it's going to continue to grow and grow and grow and grow. I don't know.
Yeah, it wasn't over when I woke up. It was still going on.
Like you planted the seed or something, I don't know.
Yeah, well, yeah. I see what you're saying, but I don't know.
You don't know if you
Yeah, I don't know
felt
if I yeah.
felt like that, yeah.
But I don't know what was going on before I showed up there.
Right.
But I might have been the first act. We might have been the first act of the whole thing. But like I said, it felt like all of us had sung the song. But it was going when the last act. There was a bunch of kids up there. They was tap dancing. I mean, it may have been 50 people on the stage in the last act.
You said that you remember 3 performances. What were they?
The 3 performances was the 2 little African American girls who came up and to the microphone and started singing. That was right after the lady made the announcement. The second act was the that I remember was the Caucasian couple and their 15 or 20 buddies that came up to do their singing. And then the last act, I really only saw children, wide age groups. They're from like 3 to 13, but it may have been 50 of them on the stage. And I specifically remember the shoes like they were tap dancing or something.
Is this Steve and Tim? Are they still alive? Are they still?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know of them.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. They're still around.
The young girls at the beginning were the same age as the children at the end.
The young girls at the beginning would have been the age of like 13 to 16. The children at the end, there were some young kids up there. One of them could have been 3 or 4 years old. But they would have. But I felt like there was older kids there. I may not have seen them, but there was a whole bunch of people running around during their act on the stage. All right. Any more questions? No more questions?
Was there a color scheme to the place?
Nope. The first African American girls, they had on black dresses. The ones at the very end seemed like their clothes was white and black too. But the Caucasian couple, they had on what's them Easter color, pastel kind of colors. Like I said, some of them had on pink. Yeah, them kind of colors. But I don't remember anything other than the room, other than I was in an elevated position, like I was sitting up high in the bleachers, and there was bleachers straight across. You would to get where the older couple was singing, I would have had to go down the bleachers, across the pews, and then when I had to start climbing up the other bleachers on the other side of this big old room. All right, any more? Well, it's been dream time.
Dream time.